A lot of fights are won and lost in the gym. So it's important that you spend your gym time wisely. Practicing is a fundamental part of boxing. Perfect practicing is essential.
Watch this.
Boxing on edge. On edge. Boxing.
Welcome back to Boxing on the Edge. Today we're going to be talking about practicing. I'm just going to go over some basic techniques that I do when I'm hitting the bag as hard as I can to get yourself in the best shape possible and to perfect your technique, of course. Not going to be really covering technique that much, just going to be raw power for the most part and trying to explain how you can get yourself in really good shape by hitting the bag powerfully a lot of times, where repetition is massively important. Yeah, anyway, let's get into the video.
Boxing on edge.
Every time you go to the gym, especially if you're training for a fight or an amateur, or even if you're just training, you got to be prepared to put the energy and effort in and throw hundreds, probably almost thousands, at least 1,000 punches on the heavy bag with shadow boxing, decoy shots, practicing combinations, whichever one it is. You need to put the reps in. That way you can perfect your technique, and it will also build your fitness up, especially if you're throwing hard punches, which is what I used to do. And you have what's called an outer body experience, where you're generally completely shattered and exhausted and you can't really breathe too well. Sounds terrible, but it'll get you in such good shape, because if you can't do that on the bag, how on earth are you supposed to do it in the ring? It's a great time. You just got to constantly think about what you're doing. Don't just hit the bag trying to look cool. Alright, everyone's in the gym and there's a few people in there, they just want to look cool and show off, but you got to think, you know, like think about breathing, think about where your feet are, think about what your balance is like, think about how far you are, think about the distance you've got, think about your technique, think about turning your punches, think about moving after you punch. Think about moving after you punch, then punch again, then move, and breathe, then move. Now is the time to develop your ability to think. Unorthodox shots, like this hook. It's not really a jab, it's not really a classic hook, it's like a jab hook. You can even practice like short, sharp, stumpy sort of shots. You got to put in the hours, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the repetition. Stay in one place when you're hitting the bag. Bam, bam, move. You know, preferably you want a bag that you can go around, so you can constantly move your feet, hit the bag, jab, up, down, down, up. Connecting your feet and hands is really important. It's a good time to practice it on the bag. your accuracy, your speed, your base, your breathing, your general composure, being relaxed but while being aggressive as well. You can practice all of this on the bag. It's really important. Put in the hours, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the repetitions. If you find your technique faltering a little bit, bring the power or the speed down so you get that optimum speed and power and timing. And then when you can perfect that, then build it back up. It's important that you get a decent amount of power in these punches too, but not so much power where it affects your technique. So if your power is being compromised, if your technique's being compromised, bring the power down. But it is important that you get some kind of power behind the punches, because that will make you more tired and that will get you in better shape in the long run. You should be really leaving the gym pretty exhausted, knowing you put everything in so your body can adjust and build and get fitter and stronger, and you go again and you keep raising the bar. That's how you get really fit and get in good shape. That's gonna get you mentally ready for a fight, for sparring or a fight. Knowing that you put the work in the gym, it's a big psychological advantage, massive. Start cutting corners, you're gonna know you cut corners, and it's gonna affect your performance. Okay, that is it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. That was just a little insight in how I used to train and how I would recommend training if you're trying to get yourself in good physical condition and excellent fitness. Hitting the bag as hard as you can is an excellent place to start. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great one.
Boxing.
On edge.